Hey folks, how's everybody doing? Good? That's great. Well, as you all know, I am a Mac fan. I have a MacBook Pro, and an iMac, which I do all my video editing on. But I'm also a PC user. I've got two different PCs, and one of the PCs is now being turned into a Linux box. And then my wife has a PC, which I manage. And then I've got iPhones. I've got an iPhone for work, an iPhone 4S for personal, and then a 3GS, and my wife has an iPhone 4. But I've been wondering what Android's all about. I've never used it, so I decided to download the SDK a couple of weeks ago and give it a whirl, and it was pretty cool. And then I started watching videos online, and well, today I finally took the plunge and picked up a Nexus 7. So, I'm going to unbox it real quick, because I've heard this thing is really hard to unbox. Okay, that wasn't hard. I have a sharp knife here, so, okay, that was easy. That wasn't hard at all. The internet lies! Here's everything that comes in the box. We've got two instruction manuals, the device itself, a micro USB to USB adapter, and a charging dongle, or a charging thingy. So that's all that comes in the box. As you can see, the screen is super reflective and nice and clean. Well, for now anyway. On the bottom we've got the micro USB port and the headphone jack. On the sides we've got what looks to be the volume rockers and possibly the power button. Other than that, looks like we've got some kind of charging dock right here. I'm not totally sure what that is. Now, I haven't looked at the directions yet, so please don't yell at me. The back is nice. I actually really like the back. It's soft, it's kind of rubbery, but it has a nice finish to it that has just enough friction to not slip and fall out of your hands very easily. So let's go ahead and turn it on. Maybe? Ooh, take Googles. Wait for it. I swear that's the Windows 7 log on. It is tape booting. Welcome, English. So after spending some time with the Nexus 7, I do have to say I am quite impressed with what Google has accomplished here. To give you guys an example of just how big this unit is, here it is next to FE Optimus Prime, or First Edition Optimus Prime from Transformers Prime. So we'll take Optimus off to the side here. The actual device itself is fun and easy to use, and the 7-inch form factor, I really believe this is the way tablets are meant to be. Simply because I can palm a 7-inch device. I can't palm a 10-inch device. This device is also very light, and I've found that the screen is much easier to keep clean than say, the iPad. Now, that being said, it is just as reflective as the iPad, so you see the windows and the light there reflecting quite brilliantly. I do miss a home button. I know that sounds strange. There is a software home button here, a back button there, and then this button shows what's running in the background. But I do miss that physical home button. And the reason is, and this is silly, this is absolutely silly, but the reason is, I can never figure out which way is up. That home button gives you the ability to pick it up and instantly know, okay, the home button goes on the bottom, it goes on the bottom. Now, the camera up here is pretty janky, I will admit. I have had some real issues with the camera. Though you can take pictures, and to do that, we will go into the list of programs, and finding the camera app is always a bit of a challenge for me, because I'm not used to Android yet. I've got a lot of stuff in here already. As you can see, I've got some emulation, Netflix, I've got my Amazon Kindle, but I seem to have an issue with just trying to find certain things. Now, there is a search function in here, but I always forget that there's a search function, if that makes any sense. Though the screen is nice and bright and crisp, I know that sounds weird. My iPad, I have an iPad 3, which I'll show you guys this compared to the iPad 3 in a second, but the one thing I find that I really have an issue with is the iPad 3 does not feel crisp. The picture is not clear to me. And I think that's because a lot of the programs that come with the iPad 3 or that you could get in the iOS store aren't customized for that super high resolution yet. The resolution for this Nexus is 1280 by... It's 720p. It's 1280 by 720, or 1280 by 800, one of those. And it's a nice screen. I really like the look of the screen. My big issue, though, is the fact that I am getting, I don't know if you could see that, but I am starting to get that little screen separation issue. The Nexus 7 has that quality control issue. This product is made by Asus, and Asus has quality control issues sometimes. Now here on the right side of the device, I don't get the issue. Here on the left side, I have the issue. You could definitely, if you run your nail across, you could feel that the screen is higher than the bezel, while over on the right side, the screen is a little bit lower than the bezel. That's a quality control issue that it's annoying. That's something that Apple really doesn't have a problem with. Normally, Apple devices are very high in the quality control department. I'm not saying they're perfect. Believe me, there have been a lot of issues with Apple products over the years. Hello Antennagate. But I've never had an iPad that's had screen separation issues. One thing that a lot of folks have complained about with the iPad is its weight. Now, I have the iPad 3, 64 gig iPad 3, no Wi-Fi, or just Wi-Fi only. So, how much does that weigh? Well, that weighs 1 pound, 7 1/8 ounce. So, that's over a pound and a half. The Nexus only weighs just shy of a pound. So 11 7/8 ounces. So it is significantly lighter. And believe it or not, that difference makes that difference in weight makes a big difference in feel. Yes, obviously the device is smaller. Obviously the Nexus is smaller. But that difference in weight makes the Nexus 7 much easier on the wrists. One other very cool thing that you can do with most Android devices is just plug it into your computer and use it as an external storage device. That is something that iOS cannot do, well, without jailbreaking it, that is. So here we have the two devices together. We've got my iPad 3 64 gig next to my Nexus 7 16 gig. Difference in price, the Nexus 7 was $250, the iPad 3 was about $700. Now, a big issue with the Nexus 7 that I have is no micro SD slot. If this thing had a micro SD slot, for an additional $60, you could get a 64 gig SD card, throw it in here, and you would have the same capacity as this baby right here. Now, screen-wise, the two screens are actually disturbingly comparable. I know that sounds weird. You would think that the screens would not be comparable at all, because the resolution on the iPad 3 is 4 times the resolution on the Nexus 7, but I find them to be strangely comparable. So I will jump into YouTube on both of them, and it looks like my iPad is using the stupid phone app instead of the actual iPad app. Sorry about that. But the Nexus 7, I find, is pretty much perfect for what I want it to do. I just want it to watch some videos in bed and read and play some games. And that's something that I can read, I can play games, but not the games I want to play without jailbreaking this thing, the iPad. Now, I'm not saying that the iPad is bad, by any means. In fact, the iPad is a phenomenal device. It was, and is, a game changer. It is a device that, if you don't want a laptop, get an iPad and get one of those portable keyboards, because this will do everything you need it to do. But what if you do have a laptop? and a computer. Or, in my case, 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 computers and phones and whatnot. This is an excellent device. If you already have a PC or a Windows PC, this is a great device. It's not perfect by any means, but this is a phenomenal first attempt by Google. It's just an all-around good device and well worth the $200 as opposed to the several more $100 that the iPad is. For a tinkerer and for a technology person, I really think the Nexus 7 or subsequent Android devices are the way to go. But if you just want something that works and you just want something to play your games on that would be iOS related, get the iPad. But for me, I'm starting to lean the way of Android.